The leather wallet landed on the polished marble floor with a soft sound that almost disappeared beneath the noise of rushing footsteps. The exhausted single father never noticed it slipping from his worn jacket as he hurried out of the towering corporate headquarters with his little daughter asleep in his arms. But someone else did. The CEO herself bent down to pick it up, intending to hand it back before he disappeared. As she opened the wallet to find an ID, an old faded photograph slid into her hand. The moment her eyes landed on the smiling woman in the picture, the color drained from her face. The world around her seemed to stop. She whispered a name she had not spoken in nearly 25 years, and suddenly the stranger walking away with his daughter was no longer just another job applicant. He was the missing piece of a secret that had haunted her entire life. If you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Ethan Brooks had learned long ago that life never paused to let anyone catch their breath. Since losing his wife 3 years earlier to a sudden illness, every sunrise had brought another challenge. He worked construction during the day whenever jobs were available and delivered groceries at night while raising 6-year-old Lily alone. Every dollar mattered. Every missed opportunity meant another unpaid bill. Yet despite the endless pressure, Ethan refused to let bitterness replace kindness. His daughter still believed the world was beautiful because her father made sure she never saw how heavy his heart truly was. That morning, Ethan had come to the headquarters of one of the country's largest development companies hoping for a maintenance supervisor position. It was not glamorous work, but it offered health insurance, a stable income, and enough security to finally give Lily a home where she could stop wondering if they would have to move again. He had worn the only clean shirt he owned, carefully ironed the night before after Lily had fallen asleep. The interview, however, lasted less than 15 minutes. His lack of corporate experience outweighed years of practical skill. The polite rejection came before he had even finished describing the projects he had managed on construction sites. Ethan thanked them anyway, picked up his sleeping daughter, and quietly walked toward the exit, believing this day had become just another chapter in a long list of disappointments. Behind him, CEO Victoria Hale picked up the wallet. She expected to see nothing more than a driver's license or a few folded bills. Instead, she found an old black and white photograph protected inside a transparent sleeve. It showed a young woman holding 2 little children while smiling with a warmth that felt almost impossible to forget. Victoria stared at the woman's face as tears unexpectedly filled her eyes. The woman was Eleanor Brooks. For decades, Victoria had searched for answers about Eleanor. As a frightened teenager, Victoria had been separated from the woman who had secretly protected her during the darkest years of her childhood. Eleanor had worked as a caregiver in the orphanage where Victoria spent the first 10 years of her life. Before disappearing without explanation, Eleanor had promised one day they would meet again. They never did. Turning the photograph over with trembling hands, Victoria noticed handwritten words faded by time. "For my sons, never forget that love is worth every sacrifice. Mom." Victoria froze. Sons. She had never known Eleanor had children. She rushed toward the lobby doors and called for security to stop the men before he left the building. Ethan immediately feared something was wrong. His first instinct was to protect Lily as security approached him, but instead, they simply returned his wallet and asked him to come back upstairs because the CEO wished to speak with him personally. Confused and nervous, Ethan entered Victoria's office overlooking the city skyline. Instead of discussing employment, she gently placed the old photograph on the desk between them. The room became completely silent. Ethan explained that the woman was his mother. Eleanor had raised him and his younger brother alone after escaping an abusive marriage. She spent her life helping abandoned children while hiding her own struggles. She rarely spoke about her past except to say that there had once been a little girl she wished she could have saved forever. Before Eleanor passed away from cancer, she made Ethan promise never to throw away the photograph because it reminded her that love often survived even when people were forced apart. Every word felt like another heartbeat reconnecting Victoria to a forgotten past. She shared her own story for the first time in years. As a child abandoned by relatives who wanted nothing to do with her, Victoria had found comfort in Eleanor's kindness. Eleanor secretly shared her meals, comforted her through nightmares, and taught her that a person's future should never be decided by their worst circumstances. When the orphanage suddenly closed, the children were scattered across different states. Victoria spent decades trying to locate the woman who had become the closest thing she ever had to a mother, but every search ended in silence. The realization settled over both of them like sunlight after years of darkness. Ethan's mother had changed countless lives without ever asking for recognition. Even after her death, her love continued connecting strangers who desperately needed each other. Victoria looked through Ethan's application again, this time seeing far more than qualifications listed on paper. She saw determination, sacrifice, honesty, and resilience. She understood that leadership could not always be measured by degrees or polished resumes. Sometimes it was measured by the courage to keep moving forward while carrying unbearable loss. Instead of offering him the maintenance position he had applied for, Victoria created a facilities management role that matched his years of real-world experience. It came with healthcare, educational assistance for Lily, and housing support while he settled into his new career. Ethan struggled to believe such generosity could be real. For the first time since his wife had died, the future no longer looked like an endless tunnel of uncertainty. Months passed, and Ethan quickly became one of the company's most respected employees. His honesty inspired those around him. He treated every worker with dignity because he knew what it felt like to be overlooked. Lily began attending a wonderful school where her laughter slowly replaced the sadness she had quietly carried since losing her mother. Victoria also discovered something she had been missing despite all her success. Wealth had built her company, but family gave her life meaning. She became a trusted mentor to Lily, attending school performances and birthdays, honoring Eleanor's memory by continuing the kindness that had once saved her own childhood. Together they established the Eleanor Brooks Foundation, providing scholarships, emergency housing, and support for struggling single parents trying to rebuild their lives. Every family they helped became another reminder that compassion never truly disappears. It simply waits for someone willing to pass it forward. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with your loved ones, subscribing for more inspiring stories, and letting us know your thoughts because your support helps these messages of hope reach more people. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, what is one act of kindness that changed your life forever? Years later, visitors entering the company's headquarters often stopped to admire a beautiful framed photograph hanging beside the executive offices. It showed a smiling woman holding two young boys, the same faded picture once hidden inside an old leather wallet. Beneath it was a simple inscription that perfectly captured her legacy: "One kind heart can change generations." And every employee who walked past it was reminded that sometimes the smallest forgotten object, picked up by the right person at the right moment, carries the power to rewrite countless lives forever.